So there's a quote from Mango in his interview at the end of I'm Not Yelling. He got second place, losing to Armada. And he was saying that dual mains are going to be the way to go in the metagame as we move forward. And if we look at the top players, there's a lot of support to his claim. We see at Apex 2015, we saw PPMD win with a combination of Falco and Marth. And if we really look at the big six, Armada is now a dual main, plays Fox and Peach very proficiently, enough to beat anyone, pretty much anyone with those characters. Mango has a Fox and Falco, and Mutaking has Sheik, Fox, and Marth. And to no surprise, they've all been using both their dual mains to a great capacity to swing the sets very dramatically. We saw PPMD use this a lot, where through his Apex 2015 run, starts off with Marth against SUJ, realizes it's not going to work out, plays Falco, wins the next two games, wins the set. Against PPU, he plays Falco to start things off after his run with SUJ. Looks rather pedestrian, loses, and it switches to Marth and whoops PPU. And we see him tether and tather based on stage combinations to use these different characters to a different degree of success that ends up helping him win the tournament. The two other gods, Hungrybox and Leffen, they're single mains. Leffen has dabbled in thinking about going to Marth and some other characters, and he was a former Falco main. Hungrybox dabbled in Fox, Falco, and Young Link, and the Young Link actually probably helped him win. The Fox, Falco, and Ness to various degrees of success. I mixed him up with Armada. But overall, Hungrybox hasn't really won much lately, aside from Paragon, which was a very good win. But didn't include his Kryptonite and Mango. And arguably, Leffen will probably beat him almost every time. Hungrybox did get close at Evo, but still fell short. And overall, I would say at a very high level, yes, I would say that having two characters that can perform at a very high level is a huge luxury. Mainly because you look at the Mango and Armada set, and it's not a matter of just the stage character combination, but you look at the momentum and how differently you have to play against different characters. There's an adjustment period that has to go on. And we see Mango at I'm Not Yelling win 3-1, and then takes the first game as Falco versus Fox. So he's overall up 4-1 in Falco Fox. And it's clear to see that Mango has all the momentum that if we were to continue the set, Mango was probably going to win I'm Not Yelling. But then he switches Peach, and things change dramatically. Mango's forced to stay on Falco on the Final Destination match. Fails miserably. It looks kind of promising for Mango, but I always thought that Armada's punish game was just going to be too good for Mango to deal with on Final Destination, and we saw Armada cleanly destroy him on Final Destination. Mango, not really used to playing the Peach in a while, has an adjustment period and loses like the next 3 or 4 games before he finally realizes that he needs a laser, pick his spots, and then not just blindly rush in, get crotch canceled down smash, not get dash attacked into these large combos, and just play that disciplined game. When he plays against Fox, he can get away with playing a little bit more aggro because he gets a lot better punishes. But against Peach as Fox, you get the 1 to 2 hits and then you play back, and so the rewards aren't as great. And so there's a huge mentality shift that he has to go through that he doesn't really realize in time to adjust, and Armada wins. No Johns for Mango because he needs to learn that, but that's the luxury of being a dual main. We always look at Mutaking with the Marth on FD. He can play Sheik on FD against low tiers, and overall that's a credit to Mutaking being able to refine his game and his punish game enough that he can play 65-35 matchups almost in any stage combination against any player. And so at very high level, I'll say yes, definitely needed. And the reason why is because, in bracket, there's no really excuses anymore if you really want to be the best. I think Hugs mentioned this on Twitter. He said, I can't just secretly hope that I get the matchups I want, because you're going to have to play matchups that you don't want. Eventually, the meta shifts all the time, and you're going to have to adapt to the meta. So, And so Hugs got a lot of shakes, and that's been a recurring theme for him to get eliminated, losing to Ice, losing to people like Shroom, Kira. I'm 8-1 against Hugs in bracket. No shots to Hugo, and so he has to make a decision as Samus to say, am I really going to be able to deal Sheik? Because I'm going to have to play a lot better than them and just outplay them, or do I find another character? And that's something that Hugs is really going to have to consider, because he can't just slip by and just cross his fingers and say, I hope I get Fox, I hope I get Falco, I hope I get these matchups, but not Sheik or these players that he doesn't play against, because sometimes you might get that random draw that really favors you and you get in top 8, and sometimes you get Swedish Delight and you get 49th. So if you really want consistent performances, you got to have a solution for every character in every stage, and that's the way that 2015 works. That might be that you just get better at the matchup and you find little tools to deal with it, or that you find another character to deal with the counterpick situation. And so, and in addition, it creates a lot of interesting counterpick scenarios. So if Armada and Mango play at Sandstorm or at Evo, it's going to be really interesting to see if they request a double blind, because Armada is going to want to fish for the Fox versus for the Peach versus Fox, or I mean the Peach versus Falco, or the Fox versus Fox matchups, where as Mango is going to want Falco versus Fox or the Fox versus Peach. So it's going to be a really interesting counterpick situation. Game 1 is going to matter, and then being able to hold their lead not only in the games but also the set's going to be really huge. So it's going to be really interesting, and the fact that they both have 2 characters is going to make it really interesting. Whereas if Mango played just Fox, I'm not really sure if he's able to deal with Armada's Fox in the Ditto, as we saw with just Armada just eviscerating everybody in the Ditto, including Leffen. Armada played a lot of friendlies with a bunch of people over the weekend. I believe he played SFAT, and SFAT took like 2 to 3 games out of 50, which is, you know, SFAT's a really good player, especially at the Ditto. But yeah, so if you're aiming to be at the very top, like I would say, like if you're like top 16 or top 24 in the world, and you have a really bad matchup, you should really begin to consider thinking, okay, like let's say if you're Ice Climbers and you have to play against Peach, like develop a Sheik. And I'm actually really surprised that Fly is willing to stay Ice Climbers against MacD. We've seen a repeated history from losing. And so while I'm like kind of digressing a bit, that's just the way to go. We see this in other games too. We see this in Street Fighter. You look at MOBAs, there are a lot of counterpicks. The players at the very top of the league, they have to play 6 or 7 champions very proficiently, because they can get counterpicked, they can get banned, or they can be forced into matchups that are really unfavorable, and so they're forced to learn as many heroes as they can so these situations don't happen. In old school Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, you saw a lot of the old legends be able to pick up 3 to 5 characters very well, and if they ever played a 3-7 or a 2-8 matchup, they would just pick another character that they were really good at. And it's just really difficult. So if you're in a situation where, you know, even in a game where the stage and characters are really bad for you, taking an auto loss in a best of 3 or best of 5 just based on a stage character combination is just so huge, and it's so hard to overcome that. On the flip side, if you can develop characters to give yourself auto wins, just like how Mewtwo pretty much does that with Marth versus Spaceys, that's a really huge thing, and that's what's kept Mewtwo in the metagame for so long, is because what he pretty much does in a set is he picks Final Destination against a Spacey, and pretty much what that says to the Spacey player is, I'm going to lose this match, and I pretty much have to go 3-1 against Mewtwo on the other 4 stages to win the set, and that's really hard to do. And so there's a flip side to this, and a lot of people ask me about character selections on my Ask FM. Should I switch characters? I would say the only reason why I'm so in favor of the top level players doing the character switch is because they're so fundamentally sound and developed that they can pick up another character really quickly and still be fundamentally sound. I feel that at mid-level play and low-level play, people try to compensate by playing characters as a substitute for learning fundamentals. And so when I watch a lot of people at the local SoCal tournaments, they lose a matchup that's like 4.5 to 5.5 or even 50-50, and then they complain afterwards saying, this matchup is impossible. I'm thinking about picking up Marth instead of this character. I'm thinking about picking Peach instead of this character. When I really watch their matches, it's a lot of it comes down to that they just make way too many mistakes. They're not pushing their advantages hard enough. They're not comboing hard enough. They're giving free hits. They're throwing away edge guards. Just a lot of things that could have helped them win. They're not doing it, and so I get really frustrated when people switch characters like every month, just to think that, oh, if I switch to this character, I'm magically gonna win. And the example I give myself is this. So a little, I guess, moment of weakness for me. I played Fly back in like 2011. We'd get 4-stocked, 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 3-stocked, and I used to complain that the matchup was impossible. I look at the matches now and I really cringe because I really did bad moves that were really lagging on shield. I would get chain grabbed as a result. I'd throw out bad down smashes, bad forward tilts as Sheik. Generally just badly spaced moves. He would outread me, and that's the reason why he 4-stocked me. It wasn't just because of the character combination and him being able to chain grab me. It was just because I played really bad. And when I play him now, I've gotten a lot better since then in 2015, where I take matches against Fly, or the matches are a lot closer, and that's because my fundamentals are better. And so if you're at that mid-level thinking about switching a character, I highly recommend that you don't, because the reason why you're probably losing is not because of your character, it's because you're not good at the game. And so it's going to be really interesting just to see just overall, just the future of counter picks, especially when we see like Armada versus PPMD again, or Mango versus Armada again. It's going to be interesting, and it's going to also be interesting if the second tier of players also develop secondary characters to deal with certain matchups. We already kind of see that already with PPU playing Fox against Amsa. Shroom picking up certain characters, even though his Marth is not good, I'm sorry. We're starting to see that more and more, and I think that's the way the metagame is going to go moving forward.